What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Raw Attitude presented by MWA or Monsters with Attitude. I am your host, Eric. Alongside me, of course, my buddy, Joe Myers. What is going on, buddy?
Hello. How are you? I'm excited, man.
Good. Yeah, I am excited too because we were just kind of talking with our guest backstage, and we are just kind of saying like how influential he is to the Godzilla and Tokusatsu community. Honestly, he's been doing some really great things and noteworthy things. Honestly, that are worth talking about and talking to him about. Just because, we've talked about this many times where we've gone through this period of the dark ages, as we like to call it, and everything, where we just don't have anything. And now people just, take it upon themselves to give content to the Godzilla community or the kaiju community. And I just love seeing it. And I applaud them for it because it's stuff that I couldn't do in any way, shape or form, honestly, because it's very stressful.
We definitely live in a time where the fans are able to band together and create things on their own to keep these franchises going, not just Godzilla, but franchises across the board. And what John does is truly kind of inspired by that. Obviously, excuse me, he has, official works and stuff, but just him being a fan and his giving back to the fandom is great. We live in a time where that's becoming more and more, I think maybe easy in a way, and not that it's easy, but more, more prevalent that this is happening. I think that's really great to have more shows and more just merchandise, more everything that's fan inspired by the fans for the fans.
Oh, absolutely. Like it's amazing, but yeah, let's stop talking. Let's get our guest on here and everything, and introduce him. We are talking to John Bellotti Jr., Robo 7. John, thank you for joining us. Hopefully you can still hear me now because you're in. Nope. Okay, so we're having technical difficulties.
Hold, please.
Yes, hold, please. Sorry, everybody. I think John lost his sound for a minute.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear us, John?
Yep, we can hear you.
Can you hear us?
I can't hear you guys.
We can hear you. You can't hear us? Let's see. Let's try to figure this out here. All right. Of course, we have technology, so we're going to have John drop out and then come back in and see if that does the trick. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're going to have that every once in a while. We've been on a really good run with.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is like our 5th or 6th interview or 7th interview, and we've had no problem, so it's bound to happen eventually.
John, can you hear us?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Now it's a party.
Yes, as I was just saying, thank you for coming aboard and taking the time to talk with us. We were just mentioning that, you're a very influential person. You've done a lot for the community. What you're doing with making your own convention and supplying content to people who, might not have it in that area of the world and stuff like that, that it's just great that they can go to something like that and you're providing this service that, me and Joe, we went through the dark ages, as so call it, that, there wasn't a lot of Godzilla content and stuff going on. So you're providing this service that I think a lot of people appreciate it and admire you, honestly. And I'm one of them, honestly. So thank you for coming aboard.
If you only knew the reason why I created the show, I'll get to that later. He's like Mother Teresa, but thank you. That's really kind of you. It's growing into what you're saying, but it's like I said, when I tell you why I made the show, you're like, really? That's why?
Hey, and all it is just a little ember to spark a big fire. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
that's all it takes. So,
It's like what's that line from Prometheus? Big things have small beginnings.
yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's all
Everything
it takes.
starts with an idea, and you just gotta put it in motion.
Yeah, and that's sometimes that is the hardest thing to do for a lot of people, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
And I'm just stupid enough to go through with these things.
Well, what we like to kind of kick off our interviews with John is since this is your first time coming on, we kind of want to know your backstory and everything about how, you became a Godzilla Ultraman fan. What's your earliest memory, favorite movie, stuff like that. Like, take us through that.
Well, the day I was born, I started loving Godzilla. Here in New York, we had Godzilla and Ultraman. Well, mostly Godzilla was always on TV here in New York. So there was always a Saturday double feature of like a Godzilla movie and a Kung Fu movie. So I'm obsessed with both things. Like,
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I wish they were still making good Kung Fu movies. Unfortunately, that era has come to a close. There's some good ones that's come out, but that peak is over, unfortunately. But anyway, so I've been watching these things since I was a kid. They always came on TV, and I just got into them. Where my friends were into Star Wars, I got into Godzilla and Bruce Lee movies, and that continued for my whole life. I was always into Godzilla. I was always into martial art movies. I was drawn like watching anime. I was watching. I slowly got into Ultraman when Ultraman Towards the Future came out. I became obsessed with Ultra 7 as a kid because I thought that was the coolest name ever. Which, by the way, is where the name Robo 7 came from. That's where the 7 is. Ultra 7, yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
A little and the Robo is from one of my favorite animes, Giant Robo. So that's how much. So that's how much this stuff has really left a mark on me. And I remember those, like we were talking about earlier, those dark years, right, of the fandom before. I hate to say it because I'm not the biggest fan of the Legendary movies, but honestly, I didn't get back into. I was always into Godzilla stuff, but there was nothing coming out, so then there was nothing to collect. I had my stuff in a display case, and that was it. When the 2014 movie came out, things started to explode again. I met people like yourself. I met guys like Seismic Toys, David Dobko, et cetera, through the fandom, and like who meets new friends like in their 30s? It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's Eric and I. Met in 2019, and I mean, one of my best friends now. And we go and see each other. We go down and see them over Thanksgiving. They come down and stay with us because I'm in the Chicagoland area, so they come and stay with us for G Fest, and it's just
that's great.
Some of the best friends I've ever had in my entire life are because of this kingdom.
Yeah, Chris Oglio, man. I just spent great guy. He's one of my closest friends. Had dinner at his mom's place last week, and it was really cool. And Alex was there of Seismic Toys as well, and and Steve, and
also a great guy.
Yeah, great guy. They're both awesome, and we had a good time. But so that's how I sort of got back into the Godzilla fandom, and I discovered, I was back on Facebook. So my story basically is how I got. I was always an artist. I was always drawing, wanted comic books and stuff. I currently work in film and TV as a scenic painter. So I work on a TV show called You for Netflix. So I'm running the paint department, and they build sets and we paint them. Yes, Joe.
Is he like a stalker?
Yeah.
My wife watches that.
Every woman I know says, "Oh my god!" Every woman. A few guys, mostly women. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'll be like sitting there, I don't know, playing a video game or reading a comic book or something, and I'll kind of like glance over and I'm like, "What is this show?" And it's like the weirdest thing, but she's like, "It's so good," and I'm like, "All right, I believe you."
Yeah, if I told you what we were doing for this new episode, you'd be like, "Oh, okay, it sounds." So I do that, and what I started doing was, as my story goes, as the legend of Robo 7 goes.
Yeah.
I was just on Sci-Fi Japan, and they had a link to a Godzilla poster for sale. I won't say what it was, and I won't say who sold it because I like the place. They're based out in LA. Okay. And when I found out that it cost like $40, I'm like, I turned into like an old Italian grandfather. $40, like I can do that myself. So that's what I did. I just, I'm the kind of guy to like, I'll just do it myself. I don't like it if I want to just do something, just do it myself. And I guess that's how Kaiju Brooklyn came to me, but I'll get to that. So I did that poster, and what's the Monster Attack Team magazine reached out to me and said, hey, could we publish this in our magazine? I'm like, whoa, what the hell? Like, sure. It was a Godzilla vs. Ghidorah. So then I did a Mothra vs. Godzilla. I posted on Facebook. It went really well. And I'll never forget, Del Martinez recommended I do G-Fest. And I said, yeah, I know about the show. I just didn't, I saw photos and I was like, I don't know if that's really for me. It's kind of like, I thought it was a little too family friendly, and I'm not into like, it's like, I don't know. I just had like a bias towards it from the magazine because I never went. I went to G-Con in New York, but never G-Fest.
Yeah.
We go to G-Fest, and I didn't know Friday morning was like the rush hour for Artist Alley because the dealer's room was closed. Mm-hmm. And as I'm finishing setting up my table, because it was my first convention ever in 2015, it was just I couldn't even keep my prints on the table. I sold out by the end of the weekend. I couldn't believe it was insane. And from that moment on, I just started doing conventions, and every year I was making more money. Doing G-Fest, New York Comic Con, Anime NYC, MegaCon, AwesomeCon. I did Son of Monster Palooza, I did Japan World Heroes, Baltimore Comic Con, 5 Points. I did a lot of conventions. So between 2015 and this year, like I did a convention 2 weeks ago. I have a lot of conventions under my belt. So I know how they operate, I know how they run. And in doing the conventions, I think when COVID hit is when I started changing my idea of what I'm doing, because I'm making money, I'm doing conventions, I have a day job. So it's like, what am I doing conventions for? And the Godzilla license exploded with the Mondo stuff, right? Remember Mondo did those posters?
Yes.
I tried to get in with that. They didn't hire me. Anybody that had the Godzilla license, to this day, like I can't catch a break. It's really weird. I'm trying my best, and I can't I can't quite land something. And I've even spoken to Toho about doing shirts, and even then, it's like it's been a little difficult. So I can't explain it. I don't know what it is, but at 5 Points about 2 years ago, I was talking to some friends. 5 Points Fest is a convention here in Brooklyn, but it has a lot of artists. That's where I met James Groman, the legend.
Okay.
So we've gone out to eat. We've gone out drinking at that show because it's a local. It's 5 minutes from my house. Okay. And I met Dangerbot there, who makes really great T-shirts. And this dude works in the garment industry as like for T-shirts and screen printing. Okay. So one day I was talking to Groman about the Godzilla license. He told me how much it costs, and I was tabling with Seismic Toys, and I said, "Hey, Chris, how much is the license for Ultraman?" And he told me, my jaw dropped. I said, "That's it? Are you kidding me? Like, wow. I can get to that right now. Here's my credit card." So I said, can I speak to your guys? So, he very nicely gave me the information of the Super Riot people here in the States. And I pitched him the idea of the shirts. And the rest is history. I have tons of shirts. I'm one of their, they're very happy. I'm one of their favorite licensees, along with Seismic Toys and many other people. But it's been a really, really amazing relationship with them, and it's only growing. And I've met some of them in LA at Japan World Heroes, and I even did a panel for oh God, I forget her name, but she's so lovely. She played Fuji in the original Ultraman show.
Oh yeah. Her name escapes me, but yeah.
Hiroko Sakura. Yeah, I was sitting there, and Lenny Romero recommended me to one of the staff members, and then it was me and this nice dude named Takuto from Japan, who's part of Tsuburaya. And I was literally like writing questions to ask Hiroko during before the panel. Then we got up there, and I hosted the panel. Then I met this other people from Tsuburaya. I've been to the offices out there. It's been pretty amazing. Yeah, they're really great to work with. I love my relationship with them. I'm very, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe. I think you're asking a question.
No, yeah, that's actually kind of, you talked about Monster Attack Team and getting the license and stuff. One of my questions for you was, what was your first paid gig in the industry? You talked about working on film and TV and stuff, but as far as like your art in Robo 7, was it Monster Attack Team?
No, that was an exposure gig, as we
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I was making really good money at conventions selling prints, so I didn't pursue freelance stuff until COVID hit, and there was no conventions to do. And one of my
Gotcha.
first gigs was for. Are you guys familiar with Last Bastion Studios?
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't
they,
know.
yeah, they
Ragnar.
Ragnar.
Yeah, Ragnar.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
So they reached out to me about doing a commission for the T-shirt. So I did their official T-shirt art
Oh, cool.
with Ragnar, and now I'm like best friends with Wes and Chris. I like Wes is staying with me like in a week. So talk about like I'm saying, like you guys like connecting.
Yeah.
Like now me and Wes are like inseparable, and he lives on the West Coast. So so that was like my first freelance gig, and I did more. I did like comic book stuff, and I did a lot of people wanted like a Godzilla commission. I'm literally doing a Godzilla commission now at work for an illustrator named his tag name is Mexafunk. He did a lot of does a lot of horror artwork. He does a lot of like steel books and Blu-ray covers, and we just did this Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween art book. But very nicely commissioned me to do a -1 piece, so I'm doing that. But once I started doing the shirts, I kind of took a step back from commission work just because I wanted to focus on the T-shirts, and now Kaiju Brooklyn. Now I have these two great things that are sort of like coinciding with each other and feeding into each other, which I'm really excited about. It's a lot of work, but I love it. When you love it, it's not really work. It's just things you have to do.
That's exactly it. Like, if you love what you're gonna do, like you don't care how much time it takes.
Yeah.
If you gotta sacrifice whatever, like you're gonna do it because you absolutely love it. And that's
Yes.
that's kind of our thing right now, where we're really loving what we're doing and everything, and we just kind of want to do more of it. And we're just it's so much fun, and just meeting people like you and others. It's an honor, honestly, to meet people like you and others that we've interviewed, and more to come, honestly. And it's a lot of fun, honestly.
Yeah, and you guys have a great. You guys are great, right? I already, Eric, I've known you, and Joe, I know we're just talking now, but you guys got a great energy, and it's cool. I always say, like, when I started doing shows, it's like, oh, now I'm on the other side of the table. Now I'm not the fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now like you're on the other side of the table, and you get to see it and talk to all these cool people.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's cool as hell.
Yeah, it is. So what was your so you're talking about commissions and stuff like that. What was your like first kaiju commission, or your first project that you did for like kaiju related, or your first piece? What was your very first one? Do you remember it?
I mean, the first poster I did was Godzilla vs. Ghidorah, and the funny thing about that was I always thought I was terrible at drawing Godzilla, even though I drew Gamera, the Heisei Gamera, all the time.
Nice.
So I was really scared to draw Godzilla because I never
Really?
thought. Yeah, I was never someone who thought he was good at drawing likenesses, but I nailed Godzilla every time I drew him. And I said to myself, I'm not a portrait artist. Like, what the hell is going on? I just kind of went with it, And some people do like a more stylized Godzilla. Like, I like to stick to what the suits look like. I'm kind of like a stickler for that.
Absolutely.
But the first kaiju, I mean, aside from Ragnar, someone hired me to do a commission of Godzilla versus Zone Fighter, which is pretty cool.
Right.
I love that poster, dude. I love that, dude. That's one of my favorites because I love Zone Fighter.
Oh, cool. Cool. That was a fun one to do. I would have done it differently, but I tried to capture the zaniness with the colors and stuff, even though I never saw like all of Zone Fighter. But that was one of the first ones I did. Oh, and I did the Ultraman trading cards for Rich R.R. Parks. I did sketch cards for Series 1 and Series 2.
Oh, wow.
So I did like 10 or 20 cards or something for both of them. That was pretty cool. Yeah, that was another fun one. And I did I'm pretty deep in the Ultraman world, so there's a few things. There's one thing I cannot announce. There's one thing I'm excited about, but I cannot announce it because I signed an NDA. But there's a book cover I did for an official English language Ultraman episode guide, which I did back in 2021, and it hasn't been released yet. But that's something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's it was a while ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that was another fun one. But yeah, I've definitely been the Ultraman guy here.
I have like a general question, I guess. Like, is there a name for your specific art style, or is it just like just something you came up with, or was there like an inspiration or something that you went off, like, is there an actual title for what your art is called?
I've heard pop art a lot. Pop
Oh,
art.
Okay.
I tried to. If you look at Eric's shirt there, I used to do a lot of movie posters. That's my heart was always with doing movie posters. Like, are you guys familiar with the artist Drew Struzan, who did all the movie posters of the '80s? He did.
no.
He did this. Did you ever see the hand painted Star Wars prequel posters?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's him. He did the
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did the Back to the Future posters back in the day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He did the Thing poster with the guy with the light coming out of his hoodie.
Yeah. Okay.
The dude's a legend. So I wanted to be him, but with Godzilla, and that's who I kind of model myself after. But if you look at a lot of kaiju art, it's very dark, and I never like. I like color, and the color thing started with conventions. I said I want people to notice me. So what colors get people's attention? Orange, red, yellow, pink. So that's why I started doing crazy colors in my artwork. So, but as far as style, I mean, it's like stylized realism is another term I've heard for it, which is fine. Okay. I like that. I like that term a lot, actually.
Stylized realism. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it actually fits. Sorry, Eric, I didn't even cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just saying, like, so did you initially start with that kind, or like has it evolved over the years?
Oh, for sure.
Where you've kind of perfected it to what it is now?
Yeah, it really evolved during COVID lockdown because I was off at work. We weren't filming anything. Yeah, there you go. Look at all that color. My eyes are hurting.
But that's what's so beautiful about it. It just draws you in, and it just gets your attention.
No, I appreciate that. And I was what happened with COVID. If you look at the Space Godzilla, you see it a little bit. But if you look at Final Wars, there, I started getting a little bit more painterly with my work, but I was using the wrong program for it, and it was taking too long for what I wanted to do. So Destroy All Monsters was the next one. If you look at Destroy All Monsters compared to like Mechagodzilla or Biollante or Gargantuas, there's definitely a difference there. And then when you look at Daimajin and Gamera 3, that's when I started going fully digital painting. And I was kind of worried that it would look really different, but that's why I keep, like, the colors still fit my motif of what I do. It's just now it's a little bit more painterly looking. And that's sort of where it evolved. It was just being home out of work for 9 months and just, taking a life drawing class. I was at home. Like, we were, everyone was home baking and making swords and doing all crazy shit, But I was just, drawing like every single day. So that's kind of how my style evolved. I went from using Adobe Illustrator to Photoshop, and now I just use what I discovered is a Procreate on the iPad is amazing for drawing Ultraman. Like, amazing. Oh, wow. Yeah, the tools on there, like, I like what I can do in Photoshop, but with Procreate, it's a lot tighter. Like, that's what I use exclusively at this point.
It's so funny that I grab these pictures, and it's basically kind of almost an evolution of how you've evolved, honestly. Like you were just saying, you went from, this style to this one to this program, and it's like, I didn't even know. I was like, to me, it all kind of looks the same, honestly.
Awesome.
But you've like tightened it up. You can really tell, I think, the difference between like Daimajin and like Space Godzilla. Just looking at those two, you can tell, it's more painted and everything, but it's done on a computer, which is crazy to me. Like that. I mean, props to you, because I could never do something like that. Like, give me my stick figures and I'm good to go, like.
Yeah, and I do traditional stuff. Like the commission I'm doing now, it's like pencil and paint on plywood that's like shellacked. And I just did digital because I live in an apartment in Brooklyn and I don't have a studio. And, I like that digital, I could do it a lot faster. And I like the colors, and it's easier to print and take photographs of. And especially with T-shirts, it's just a lot easier for me to do, So it's kind of, but it doesn't mean I don't have the foundation, like I went to art school and I've always drawn with pencil and, markers and stuff. So I knew how to draw, but just computer is just giving me so much more freedom. And, I really experiment a lot with it too.
Yeah. Oh, and it just shows that you can use different materials and you can still put out like the same quality, when you're talking about just pencil and paint or markers or or doing it on an iPad or whatever, like it's still, you're consistent, and it just shows that you've graduated to like a level where, like, I mean, really, figuratively, like you're a master kind of at your art now, because you can do it in so many different forms that like you can put it out in the same thing, and it's just like boom, there it is. Doesn't even matter.
You're way too nice. I think. Do you want a free T-shirt? Is that where your piece of
Yes.
Well, one of my things was I've always drawn people since I was a kid. I never drew monsters at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is funny. If you look at all my work, there's 10 images here, posters, but just months and months of work, years of work. And like you would never like, wow, this guy never drew monsters. Like, yeah, that's why I put like humans, and like now I stopped putting humans in my work, unless it's like, Ayana from Gamera 3. She's kind of like the center of the story, or Katsuro or Mickey. But I always try to make sure I haven't drawn a human in a while. I've been pretty hot and heavy with Ultraman lately, so I've been trying to like, okay, now I'm drawing too much Ultraman. I gotta get back into Kaiju. Now I'm doing Kaiju. I'm like, I gotta draw like human hands again. I forgot how to draw.
Yeah.
So I never want to I never wanted to be. Obviously, I'm a Kaiju artist. I can't escape that. That's fine. I'll take it. I don't care. But I never wanted to lose the other skills and abilities I had. There's one of my artistic heroes is Noriyoshi Arai. Yes, Arai.
Heisei posters, boom.
If you ever seen his work, like that's his least best work, if you can believe it. What? I have books on that guy. He can paint people and draw people like Norman Rockwell. On top of that, he does like military paintings where he's like doing like Japanese Zeros and battleships to like the finest detail. Like that guy, to me, it's like he's a master. So when I hear that word thrown at me, I'm like, oh man, that's that's way too nice. But hey, I'll take it.
Do you have like a favorite poster that you've done, or a piece that you've done, and like tell me what's your hardest, like one that took you the longest to achieve?
Shin Godzilla by far. Shin Godzilla was the turning point for my poster work. That was the one that oh my God, I messed up so much in that one that I ended up learning some important lessons. It took me 6 months on and off to do that damn thing. I mean, wow. It's one of my best selling pieces, so it more than paid for itself. I probably made more money on that than anything else besides Final Wars, but that was tough because I used to draw like Gargantulas and Mechagodzilla and Biollante there. I drew all of that in pencil first, shaded it, scanned it in, then colored it in Illustrator. Then I started doing it. I was like, well, let me just draw it all in Photoshop. So when I did my Mothra vs. Godzilla, that was the first time I drew Godzilla in pencil, Mothra in pencil, but I drew the larva in Photoshop, and that was the official turning point for me. But I was still using Illustrator to do final colors. And then Shin Godzilla, I did like this full-on, full-color Photoshop drawing, and then brought it into Illustrator before I even knew how to make custom brushes and stuff, because that was a huge, like I made a Godzilla skin brush in Illustrator. Wow. Yeah. But I didn't, this was before I did that. And it took me so long, and I said, there's got to be a faster way.
Yeah.
And when I realized, like, oh, I can make my own brushes, if you look at Zone Fighter, a lot of Godzilla's texture, like on his arms, that's just a brush I made that gives like, it'll give like, he's got that tree bark texture. So it would give like 3 strokes of like tree bark. And I would just sort of, give like a general texture. And then I go in and do like more details. It just cut the work in half. But that was Shin Godzilla was the one that broke me into a better artist. A long-winded answer for you.
No, that's great. That's great. And you touched on a little bit about Subaraya and stuff like that. And, obviously you have, you've gotten the rights to make your own designs for Ultraman and stuff like that. You kind of touched a little bit on it where you met with them and stuff like that. Like, how has that been, like, relationship been? Like, are they very picky about the designs? Like, do you kind of have a rough draft and you send it to them and then they okay it and then you finish it kind of thing? Like, what's the process?
Yes to all those questions. The first one I did was the Ultraman 66. So basically I had Ultraman and Ultra 7 drawn a few years ago. but I didn't like the way I drew Ultraman and Ultra 7, so I redrew them and submitted it to Tsuburaya. Ultraman, I got 13 pages of notes of stuff to change. 13.
Wow.
Yeah, I freaked out on that one. What the hell? I was trying to get these things drawn and approved because I wanted to sell them at a convention coming up like 3 months later. Because I had the deal done in like, I want to say like August, September. And then by the time I got approval and printed, it was like March of next year. It was crazy. Ultra 7, I only got like 6 pages of notes.
Okay.
Yeah, the Mega Monster Battle, I got 1 page of notes, and there was a lot of things like, Tiga Dynagaya, it was 1 page of notes, and they were like, make all their color timers the same color, make sure the blue on Dyna looks like this. And there was a lot of like different designs I had, but that one was tricky because there's no movie with the 3 of them that I like. And they said, if it's not that movie, then you can't put the 3 of them together. And it has to be all of their logos on that one. And I said, I was like, what? Like, how am I going to do that? So that one went through a lot of revisions, and it ended up being like you go through the fire with them and you try to figure out like what works best, and you try to work within their guidelines. And sometimes you come out with something that's better than you even expected. And that was one of the shirts where I was like, it wasn't what I initially designed. Like, the placement was different. And, they worked with me, I worked with them, and I ended up being one of my personal favorite designs. And that kind of shifted my thinking of instead of doing like the collage shirts, which, my guy Danny at Tsuburaya, he loves the collage shirts, but other people love the design. And then I have, I was showing you guys this one, like this is a new direction I'd like to go, where it's just like a kaiju, and it's just like a few colors, like minimal. I have to start, when I start selling these, I'll see the reception, but that's kind of where I want to go a little bit. I do have an Ultraman Zet print that is approved, but I kind of put that in the back burner along with the Baltan shirt that's on the back burner. Because I'm doing the Netflix movie. I'm doing a shirt for Ultraman Rising. So that kind of took priority. They called me up and the Tsuburaya people, and they said, "Are you interested in doing a shirt?" And I was kind of ambivalent towards it because it's a new thing, and it's it's not it's Ultraman for Americans. It's not really Ultraman.
Yeah.
It's not the Ultraman I grew up with. But I said, well, it's doing what the legendary movies are doing, and I have to support it. And I looked at it and I said, I was like, I think I can make something cool out of this. So I made a design, and they liked it and they approved it, and I'll be revealing that soon. And it's also a chance to work with Netflix, even though I don't have any real connection with them. Just to like have that name on my T-shirt. I have to have the Netflix name on my labels now.
Yeah.
And the guy that directed it, Shannon Tyndall, I tagged him on Instagram, and he actually bought my Ultra 7 shirt, which was crazy. Yeah. So I was like, I printed out the label, and I went, wait a minute, I know this guy. So I sent them I sent them a message thanking him, and he was like so complimentary of my work, and he loves Ultra 7. It's his favorite, and we chatted for a little bit. So I'm excited for him. Like that made me like really, that kind of put me over. I was like, you know what? Like he's excited about it. He's constantly posting about it. I want to post this. I want to show him. I want him to see it. And again, it just gives me a chance to work with these guys. So I'm excited for it. It went from like like sometimes you try to find like in the movie business, sometimes we're painting a set and it has to look like a drug den. It's dirty and disgusting. And it's not pretty, but you have to find the beauty of it. It's like, I can make this drip of rust look really beautiful. I can make this blood splatter look really cool. It's, you kind of find the beauty in it. And that's, that's what I try to do with some of this stuff if I, get asked. But I'm very excited for Ultraman Rising. I think it's going to be good. And I think it's going to open up the door for a lot of, new fans to get into the stuff, which is really great. It's really good for all.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of our co-host here, Adrian, always uses the analogy that more Godzilla is best Godzilla when it comes to whether it's Toho making something or Legendary. And that's got to be the same answer, in my opinion, when it comes to Ultraman, whether it's Netflix or if it's Tsuburaya. Gamma, any of these franchises that we grew up on. The fact of the matter is, we need new properties to keep that fan base going and generate new fans.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
more Ultraman is best Ultraman.
Yeah, I agree. And, I've said it many times, I'm not a fan of the Legendary stuff, even though I saw the last few movies in the theaters. But, you need it. You need it to keep the kids into it. And, if they want more, there's, 30 other movies they can go and watch. Same thing with Ultraman. You can go on. Apparently, what I learned is that on the Tubi app, Ultraman is the most watched stuff on that app. And Ultra Q is the number one Ultra-related show. I didn't know that. I had no idea Ultraman was that popular on the apps.
They definitely cool. They started with only a few series on there, and slowly but surely they started adding more and more and more. And so you just kind of could tell that people were watching it because they got all the old stuff, the Showa stuff. They started getting the Heisei, I guess as you will, and then they started getting the new stuff, especially with Mill Creek coming out with all their releases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it definitely, I could see that it's being number one because they immediately got the whole library of Mill Creek and just put it on there, and it's all free, and it's oh my god, this is amazing.
Oh yeah, I catch up with old shows on there. I watch Tokusatsu religiously, so I catch reruns Tiga and Gaia and. I watch it on there, but it's a great time to be a fan. And, I will say the Super Eye people really do care about their characters. There's a lot of integrity with them. And that's why I was willing to work with them, because I looked at it and I said, well, not to throw shade at another property, but they're not throwing Ultraman on hot sauce, not throwing Ultraman on chocolate bars. I mean, in Japan, yes, but
yeah.
I'm sure it'll get here in time, but they're willing to work with licensees like me. I'm just a one-man operation working out of my apartment in Brooklyn, and they're willing to work with guys like me. They're not looking for X amount of dollars right out of the gate, and they're not looking for I would love to sell millions of shirts, but I'm not. That's not me. They have licensees that do that, like BioWorld and Uniqlo. So I'm very, very fortunate that they took a chance with me, and I'm happy because I literally, when I do conventions now, I see my shirts everywhere. It's insane. Japan World Heroes, almost all those kids there had my shirts, and my Subaraya, the Subaraya president, Danny, he's like, "This is unbelievable. Your shirts are everywhere." And I said, "Well, I'm the only game in town right now, but people, there's other Ultra shirts, but everyone keeps saying." Some guy said to me, "No, I was in Japan last week and no one's doing Ultraman shirts like you." I said, "Oh, that's cool. That's good to hear."
That's actually a kind of a great little segue for a question that I have. When you're talking about your partnership with Subaraya, are you able to come to them and say, "Hey, I want to do this," or is what you do, is it strictly based off what they tell you can do?
It's all me.
That makes sense. It's all you. Okay, awesome. Right on.
Yeah, it's all me, and the tricky thing is I love Ultraman Nexus, and I know a lot of people do, but I don't know if the majority of people love Ultraman Nexus, and that's awesome, Samson. Yeah, it is it's very surreal to say the least. And again, Ultraman Max I love, but I don't.
Oh my god, yes, thank you.
I love it. It's one of my favorite designs and shows, but does he have the appeal that Belial has, or even Ultraman Zero? And it's funny because I bring these shirts everywhere I go, and it's amazing what sells at what show. New York Comic Con, Tiga Dynagaya by far. I couldn't keep those things on my racks. Same thing with the original.
Really?
But not a lot of people bought 7 and Mega Monster Battle. However, I did an anime show at the same building in New York City a month later, and people were not buying Tiga Dynagaya. They were buying Ultraman and Mega Monster Battle. So I don't know. I can't figure it out. I have no idea. God bless you. And it's just I did an anime show last week, a small anime show, and Ultra 7 was selling. And I'm like, I guess I got to bring everything at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Zero and Belial are Eric and I's favorite by far.
Yeah,
or at least mine. I don't want to speak for you, Eric. At least I think it was your favorite.
It's one of them. Yeah, my
Right.
favorite's Tiga. Tiga is
Tiga, oh,
my
okay.
it was my introduction into Ultraman. I will forever love Tiga because I watched it actually on Foxbox here in the States and everything like that. So like that's kind of where I got it. And then I bought my first I think it was the Tiga, Gaia, and Dinah, the Battle for Hyperspace movie at a Suncoast for like $40. And I was like, holy crap. I was like, okay, I'm doing this. And after that, it was all downhill from there.
Yeah. So I go to Super I and I say, I want to make this shirt. I want to make that one. You can't go wrong with the original. You can't go wrong with like a ball pen or like I was excited to do Zeton because he's one of my favorite kaiju. So I was really excited to do that shirt. And I just, I try to be mindful of like, I'd love to do Nexus. I'd love to do, I mean, like Dinah, I think I could. I'm not really a big fan of Dinah, but like I'd love to do just an Ultraman Al Ghul shirt from Ultraman Gaia.
Yeah.
But would people buy it? Like I don't know. I don't know if they would. So I try to just do, like Ultraman Z. Like I love that show. It's one of my favorite new generation shows, along with Blazar. I have the design ready to go. I just need to get it printed. I'm just like kind of hesitant. I just want to like, maybe move some other shirts before I bring that into my stuff.
Gotcha.
Just see where it goes. But I have it queued up, ready to go, and hopefully get some more attention. But so yeah, that's kind of how I work with those guys. They did come to me with Ultraman Rising, which is why I ended up pursuing it. So that's my long-winded answer to your very short question.
Oh. No. So you're designing shirts and everything like that. And I think I looked on your Insta page that like you've also made like concept art for toys and figures. Have you thought about going down more of that route and doing more of that toy designing and maybe design your own toy?
When it comes to my own stuff, I really struggle with that. I remember reading an interview with Art Adams about that because he's just like, I love drawing other people's stuff, not my own. That's why he never did the creator-owned stuff. Like he did Monkey Man and O'Brien, but he was just like, I just like drawing other people's toys, So I've always kind of done that. Like I've always tried to design my own kaiju, and it's so hard to do it. It's going to be derivative of everything else. But I need to just sit down and just like doodle some stuff to try to come up with something like that.
Yeah.
I do have an officially licensed Bemular toy coming out with Seismic Toys. So that was my first real foray into it. I did a Gamera 96 that I had someone like I did the concept and someone like they 3D printed it and painted it for me.
Yeah.
If more opportunities came along, like I'd absolutely love to take a shot at it. But
I think we just had some breaking news released here.
Oh, what's that?
About the Bemular.
It's not breaking news, actually.
Oh no, I wasn't aware of it.
No, it was, but then Seismic Toys shifted gears and they went with the beautiful Shin Gomez toy. So now we're gonna talk about it. I was also out of work for 9 months, so with the Hollywood strike, so I was kind of like, hey guys, my funds are a little hurting right now, so maybe we'll just put it on the back burner. So, yeah, it's gonna happen. Just it's gonna be a little later than we hope, but it's gonna happen.
Very nice. Looking forward to it.
You've talked a lot about this. Is just a total side question. You talked a lot about different conventions and stuff that you've gone to and sold your stuff at. Do you have a favorite one that you've attended?
5 Points is my favorite as an artist by far because it's nothing but artists there, and that's the most inspiring. I mean, that's what gave me the idea for the Ultraman shirts. That's where I met James Groman. I meet so many people there. New York Comic Con is a beast. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Anime NYC is cool as hell because it's not really good with the networking, but I just sit back and meet a lot of really excited kids. So that's like a favorite. And load in is easy, whereas Comic Con, it's like it's loading into Comic Con and doing that show. It's like the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan. That's the best way I could describe it. It's just like an all-out assault on your senses and your body. When you're done, you're just like a shriveled up human on the floor. But yeah, MegaCon in Orlando was another good one. A lot of fun fans down there. But yeah, I think New York. They all have their pluses and minuses. Japan World Heroes, man. I was like a rock star at that show. That was a good one. That was like, talk about like big fish in a small pond. That was great. The only thing that ruined that show was the 90-year historic hurricane that came into the LA area that killed attendance on Sunday. Other than that, yeah. So that was good. That was a really, really good one. I would say G Fest was one of them until they kind of did artists a little dirty, unfortunately. So, which I don't know if you want to segue into Kaiju Brooklyn, but we don't have to. That's another origin story for Kaiju Brooklyn.
Well, that's actually our next question.
Actually, it is. You're reading our minds, honestly. Yeah, we'll just get right into it, honestly. So just quickly, kind of, obviously you're kind of talked about it. Like, okay, so give us the backstory. Why did you think of this? Why did you want to do it? Like, what was the inspiration?
I've been wanting to do this in New York for a while because every time I did a New York show, I would do really, really well. And Japan Society in New York had a screening of Mothra 61 about 2 years ago. And Peter, who runs Japan Society, I knew him from running Anime NYC, which is like a huge anime show. Okay. So he invited me and Seismic Toys to sell our products in the lobby of Mothra, and we killed it. It was unbelievable. And that opened my eyes to like, wow, I think there's a market here for this stuff because I do really well at the New York shows. Did really well here. I was eyeballing Industry City in Brooklyn, which is where we're holding our event, which is like a mixed-use old industrial space turned bars, restaurants, breweries, event spaces, comic shops, etc. There's a big place in there called Japan Village, which I was like, hey, guys, maybe we should team up. And they never got back to me, unfortunately. Now they're working with us, I'm happy to say, for Kaiju Brooklyn too. But basically was when I got the license to make the Ultraman shirts, it was much later than I hoped because I missed a lot of my end of year conventions. So it was around March is when I got the first shirt in. And I was like freaking out because I was like, I got this license and I need to sell these shirts. I got so many made. So I was like, maybe I could just set up a table in Industry City and just sell these damn things. I just need to sell these shirts. And that's basically how it started. It's not like one thing, right? Because I could also say, well, G-Fest unfortunately banned artists from selling art at the show for, and that's a whole other podcast to get into why that happened. Regardless of what they say publicly, it's not the truth. I know the truth because I was involved in all of it. And I'm happy to do a podcast on that. However, I'm taking the high road here. So, that was another reason I said, well, I guess I could cross that show off my list, sadly, and, start thinking about other shows. And again, that was another reason for doing Kaiju Brooklyn. So when the writers went on strike, I was just finishing up a show called Blacklist for NBC. We just wrapped out that show. The writers went on strike. I was on that show the entire 10 seasons, if you could believe it.
Wow.
Yeah. Writers went on strike that week that we wrapped out. And I kind of didn't – Kaiju Brooklyn wasn't even a thing yet until a friend of mine who works in Industry City said – you should talk to my friend Anthony at the Tom Kane Theater because he just got a space that month in May. So this is like a month later. He's like, you should reach out to him because I think you could maybe do something with him. He's looking to do events. So I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know. All right, I'll talk to him. So I think it was like June or July. The actors go on strike. And I said, okay, I'm going to be out of work for a while now. So I reached out to Anthony. I said, hey, look, I got some time. I want to do this show. I want to do a collaboration with you. And he said, let's do it. So we put it together in about 2 months and got almost 1,000 people showed up at the door. Day of the, we sold like 300 or 400 tickets. We were like, okay, that's pretty good. And then 1,000 people showed up. Like the rest showed up at the door. It was crazy. I mean, it was packed all day. All my vendors and artists made a ton of money, including myself. We did really good. I was drunk all day. It was awesome. It's like my wedding day. It was stressful, but it was a good stress. And everybody was Scrooge came down from Buffalo. People came from all over. Now this show, I had people flying in from different states. No one from a different country yet, but we were like, okay, we got to do a Kaiju Brooklyn 2. So we picked June and we'll see how it goes. We'll see if we like June. It's, it could get kind of hot up here. We might go back to the fall next year. I don't know.
Yeah.
This year we have Mill Creek working with us. We have Tsuburaya is now officially working with us. Japan Village, Sakura Central is our official sponsor. They've been great. So Mill Creek has been really great helping us out. Tsuburaya has been showing us a lot of love. Ultraman Connection. You know, we're going hard with Ultraman this year. We're doing VIP night, so it's like a ticket will get you access to our VIP party at Brooklyn Cora. So it's a sake distillery. We have a DJ spinning tokusatsu themed music. We're gonna have Ultraman cosplayers. Then Jeff Gomez of Starlight Runner and Ultraman Connection are going to do a special panel before a screening of Mega Monster Battle Ultra Galaxy, the movie. So that's VIP night.
Wow.
The next day will be the convention itself.
Okay.
We're adding panels. So I'm doing a Robo 7 Ultraman panel with Ultraman Connection. I have a guy that worked on Godzilla 98 and Shin Godzilla doing a panel together. We're excited about that. Monster Island Buddies is coming out to do a meet and greet, the legend himself. We have, 20 plus vendors, like artists, toy dealers, selling their stuff. I'll be there. My shirts, obviously, I have my own house now. Like it's kind of a Robo 7 house in the courtyard. It'll be all stuff. Cosplay contest sponsored by St. Mark's Comics. We're doing a screening of the Japanese version of Godzilla 84, which we're really excited about.
Very cool. And
then we have an official after party at a bar called Barrels and Tench Ginger, and the panels are going to be cool. They're going to be at different bars and stuff within the different spaces, and so it's good. It's a lot more moving parts. We have new T-shirts coming. We have swag bags coming for people. So we're really excited about what we put together, and next year we want to do a real 2-day show, and we want to go bigger and grow it organically. We didn't want to do too much too soon. Our good friend Jordan was there, as always. I love seeing Jordan. He's become a good friend, a local friend of mine, even though he lives, up in Connecticut. But he came and we talked, and it was a good time. We had a lot of fun. So
that's awesome. Could you let us know some of the artists or vendors that are gonna be coming?
Sure. Nick Shev is coming out, believe it or not. So I got Nick Shev. Gino Patti, who was with us last year. Bill Couture, the legend, is coming out. Mark Dos Santos, he's a great artist. He's doing it. Steve Chanks is another great kaiju and monster artist. Viscerally Yours, Kristen. She does a lot of hand-painted kaiju accessories like purses and scarves and patches. Doe Pope, he'll be there by proxy. He won't be there in person. He'll be there by proxy. And am I missing anyone? BXE Buttons. They do a lot of cool kaiju buttons and pins. Okay. And as far as, and honestly, I have a waiting list that's 20 deep of artists like Adam Gorham and Johnny Yorkaba, who's really cool. He worked on the IDW stuff. Oh, Jeff Zorno. I'm such a...
shit. Okay.
Yeah, he came. Jeff is local. He's a local friend. And, he came out last year and had a blast. So he's coming back. But yeah, I've been talking to Johnny Yorkaba about coming out and Adam Gorham, and we just don't have the space. I have a bunch of other artists that want to come out. I just don't have the space, and we have a long waiting list. So again, next year, we hope to have a bigger space and we can invite more people. And but as far as toy vendors, we have Cosmic Toys, Vampire Robots, Muteki Sales, and Ultrazilla will be with us. Okay. Steve Agan Toys. He has a lot of great vintage toys. And that kind of rounds out. I'm probably forgetting someone. I apologize. Oh, Last Bastion Studios are going to be there from the West Coast.
There you go. Okay.
I always forget them. No, it's not true. But yeah, that's pretty much rounds out our vendors and artists. And again, we hope it just keeps growing and growing.
That's awesome.
If it continues to grow, are you going to keep it in Brooklyn, or are you going to travel it, or kind of what?
I get. Joe, I get so many people on social media. They're like, "Can you do Kaiju Florida or Kaiju Tampa?" They're like, "Well, you guys have Spooky Empire, but maybe we do have a dream that we want to go out to LA by Kaiju Brooklyn 5 and be like Kaiju Los Angeles." It's definitely, the potential's there. We just have to grow the thing. People were buying our Kaiju Brooklyn shirt like crazy last year because they said, "Oh, we have to buy it while it's still in Brooklyn before it turns into Kaiju New York next year and it goes to the city." It's like, whoa, guys, it's the first show. Like, let us do a couple, see what it is, see what we want to do with it. But no, there's no reason. Like, we would definitely be open to traveling with the show. But someone was like, "Can you do it in Texas?" I'm like, "Guys, you got 2 kaiju shows." Someone was like, "Can you do it in Chicago?" I'm like, "Guys, come on. Are you trolling me here? Like, you got
yeah.
You know, you have AMA and you have G Fest. Like, you don't really need me up there. Would I do it in Chicago? Absolutely, but we're just not there yet. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Oh my god. I was kind of curious. How do you get the licensing? Like, do you just go and just contact them, or they contact you? Like, I've always been like fascinated with how that happens or how those connections happen.
For like the convention, you mean?
Yeah.
In terms of like the screenings and stuff.
Yeah, the screenings, or them just helping you out with anything that you need, spreading the word. It's just how do you make that connection, honestly? Like Mill Creek, you said, was really helping you out with a lot of things. Like, how do you get into contact when you just call them up? It's like, hey, like, we're doing this kaiju convention, can you help us out, kind of thing?
Well, yes and no. I'm a very affable guy. I don't know if you noticed. I'm very chatty. As Dope Pope says, I got the gift of gab. So I know how to talk to people really well. But no, for example, the Godzilla screening, we got that to someone that rents it out. I forget, it's not my brand. I forget who it is, but you just like Sony, like you go to Sony, they have like Godzilla movies. But Mill Creek, they work with Ultraman obviously, and through my connections, I said, hey, can I get some DVDs? So they very nicely gifted me a giant box. It's behind me, a giant box of Superior 8 Ultraman Brothers. They asked me what movie I wanted. I said, let's do that one because that's the most popular one. They gifted me a ton of them to give out for all our VIP members, a free Blu-ray. And then they said, here's a box each of each Showa era Ultra series, from Ultra Q up to the freaking beyond the cartoon, up to Ultraman the animated series, and we're going to give that away as a grand prize, that entire series, on top of giving us Mega Monster Battle the Screen and the entire Ultraman Tiga box set, because we're going to run that continuously in our Ultraman house.
Yeah.
So they were really, like, we had a great meeting with them. They're very excited. We're excited. They've been super supportive of us. I can't thank them enough. And again, that's just because I have these connections with Ultraman, so I'm just trying to parlay all of them. The thing is, like, I know so many people in New York. I know so many people from different areas, vendors, artists, licensing people, and let me just put them all in a room together. Like, let me just meld all this stuff. And that's what I did, So, like I said, I'm going really hard with the Ultraman stuff and Mill Creek. And, I've spoken to Toho about what I'm doing, but I don't know if they don't really get behind shows. It'd be nice if they did, but I don't know. I don't know. They might change that at some point. But Super I, let's just say they're very hungry right now. Where Toho can be like, sit back and just, count all their thousands and millions. Divulging too much. But, Super I is hungry. They want to get Ultraman out there. And I'm fine. I want Ultraman to get out there. I love the character. I love the property so much. So for me, this isn't like, it's just like a no-brainer. Just let's put it all together. And sometimes it is just calling people. Like, I spoke to Tokusatsu and I said, hey, you guys want to like work together? And we're talking about doing something. It's just cold calling people too. And sometimes that's all you got to do, really.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I think, honestly, we need more exposure of Ultraman here in the States.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that Ultraman Rising could do the IP wonders, honestly. Just showing a different side of Ultraman that we really haven't seen, especially over here.
Right.
And like you said, like it's one of the, or if not the most streamed property on Tubi and stuff like that. We have so many ways of seeing this stuff now and just streaming it for free that, like, the more I think exposure it gets, the more fan base it'll grow, especially over here. I mean, because we all kind of know that, like, Ultraman in Japan is bigger than Godzilla. Like, it's not even a question. But over here it's vice versa. It's Godzilla then Ultraman kind of thing. So like, I think especially that new movie can bring younger fans, kind of like what the MonsterVerse is kind of doing for Godzilla here.
Right.
It's bringing those younger fans in and making a new generation of kaiju fans overall, and like it's just showing a different type of like superhero, I guess, because this is like Japan's superhero is Ultraman instead of our Marvel, DC universes and stuff, and it just gets people to be exposed to something different, and maybe they like it, and everything, and I'm all for that, because I mean I grew up not knowing about Ultraman. I didn't get into Ultraman till probably I would say maybe 10 years ago, kind of thing, maybe a little bit longer, but like, so I wasn't into it when I was a kid, but I would have died when I was a kid to see all of this stuff now.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a plethora of just kaiju goodness, and I love it. It's great to see, and I love that you're providing this for other fans and stuff like that. That they're calling you and contacting like, hey, can you do this here? Can you do this here? Because obviously they don't have anything around their area, and it's just great that you're doing that. Like, hey, like I'm a fan. I know other people are fans. Let's just do this and let's give what the fans want, honestly. And I applaud you.
I appreciate that. That's the goal, right? I mean, do you remember walking into, I don't know, like there was always that store in Jersey called Pony Toy Go Round that was part of Mitsuwa Plaza. And I'd never been there, but I heard stories that you walk in at all these Godzilla toys. When you're a kid in the 90s and you couldn't find this stuff, like now you can find this stuff at Target. But back then, like, hearing about that, and then I remember walking into G-Con and seeing all these tables of Kobe toys and just losing my mind, and then going to like Chinatown in New York and finding these like Toy Tokyo and this place called Octopus Kingdom that had all these marmots and bull marks in the window just roasting in the sun. I'm like, what is going on? But I just remember that feeling of going into these stores and finding like, the Godzilla section, or like I said, or G-Fest, when you walk in, you're like, oh my God, you're just going nuts. And, I think I'm around this stuff so much that at Kaiju Brooklyn 1, I didn't notice it. Like it was there, but I didn't get that feeling because I think I've had that feeling for so long now. But for like kids, they were going nuts, spending like my partner Anthony was like, I bought my daughter's Godzilla toys. I'm like $60 in the hole with them. I know they were so expensive. I'm like, yeah, man, Bandai's are not cheap. So it's really great to give some other kid that feeling, because now in New York, Toy Tokyo doesn't really have a lot of Godzilla stuff. They do, but it's not like I used to go to Toy Tokyo and marmots would be hanging all over the place. I mean, for $20, $40. Now they're like $400, $500.
Yeah, right.
Para babies that I just was like, that looks like crap, and now I can't find them.
Yeah.
It was just insane. Like I would go to Toy Tokyo and just be mesmerized. So the fact that I could do that for some other kid, I mean, that's priceless.
Yeah.
We don't want to keep you too much longer. We know you're a busy man. We're going over the hour mark. One last question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
This is something we like to kind of throw out as well. 6 months ago, we had Godzilla -1. A month ago, or a little bit over, we have Godzilla X Kong. And there's been a debate in the fandom with some people saying that -1 is the best because it's Toho and, the MonsterVerse sucks. Do you think that both properties can coexist at the same time? And do you think it's a positive? In my opinion, I think it's great to have two properties. Kind of like I said earlier, more Godzilla is best Godzilla. What are your thoughts on these two very different takes on Godzilla going at the same time?
I think I'm going to be on your show a little bit longer now. I subscribe to a few different philosophies than some of the ones you mentioned. For example, like just because it's Toho doesn't mean it's good, because they also okayed Godzilla 98. They gave us Final Wars. They gave us, Mega Gyrus and Godzilla 2000. I mean, I know people like those movies. They gave us Godzilla's Revenge, and people.
First off, Final Wars is a masterpiece. I will fight you on that, John.
Yeah, but that's a growing thing. I wrote back in '04, we were like, what the hell? I mean, so I don't subscribe to Toho makes the better movies because I don't think they do. I mean, they make the best Godzilla movies. There's a world they can both exist. My issue with the MonsterVerse, it's not the monster stuff. It never was. I love the monster stuff in those movies.
Agreed.
They just can't get the human stuff. Like this movie, the last one, they nicely cut the human stuff down a lot. But they are complicating the story so much that it's so hard to understand. And I don't know why they're doing that. It actually makes King of the Monsters look like a good movie because it was just this. It was the first two movies. The stories were so simple, and then once the Monarch thing started taking off, they've gotten in the Hollow Earth and now Hollow Earth. It's getting so convoluted where you feel like they're writing this stuff as they're making it, and I definitely think they can both exist. I just wish they can figure out the human stuff or simplify it because I gotta tell you, I was watching New Empire and I felt like I didn't watch Monarch. I'm like, should I have watched Monarch? Would that have explained this movie? Like, why am I not understanding what's going on? I couldn't, maybe because I was kind of drunk too, but no, I think they can both exist. I also don't know if I agree with more Godzilla is good because I am afraid of a saturation point with him where it doesn't become special and unique because we all know, we all can familiarize ourselves with walking into a Toys R Us and seeing 9 million Rey or Finn action figures from Star Wars sitting on a shelf because no one bought them. And that would break my heart if I saw a bunch of Godzilla sitting on a shelf because no one wants to buy them. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I just get a little afraid of overexposure for what it is. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I can respect that. I definitely think that I'm not one that buys into the overexposure argument. I can respect people's opinion on that. I just think that if and my argument always is the Infinity Saga in Marvel. Right. There was 20 some movies or whatever in 10 years that all linked up to this 2-part event. Right. Toys, books, comics, music, movies, all of it flying off the shelves. But then after that, you could tell that they did not have their vision, that they had a vision for that first 10 years. And whatever it is that their vision is now is not working.
Yes.
And so to me, I don't believe in the franchise fatigue argument. I heard Michael Bay say that years ago when it came to the Transformers films. I don't believe that. I just think it's that they started to make shitty films. And I think that's what kills it. To me, I enjoy -1. I think it's one of the best Godzilla films, at least very well in the modern era, if not ever. I think it's fantastic. But it's very serious, and that's not always what my palate is. Sometimes I want to go and watch those crazy show of films that are colorful and wacky, and Godzilla's doing a drop kick, which that's kind of what I think of the MonsterVerse now is it's that wacky Showa, film where Japan, it's okay, cool. Japan, go serious, go dark. And the MonsterVerse will kind of be just your generic blockbuster, turn your brain off and go enjoy a movie for an hour and a half.
Right. And now the MonsterVerse has given Toho a free pass to be like, okay, we're just doing serious now. you guys have the screwball stuff.
For sure.
And honestly, the monster stuff in New Empire, I was laughing at a lot of it. I didn't think it was as silly as stuff from Megalon. People were saying he's practically doing the jump kick, when he bats Scar King. I was hilarious. I said that's great, It's just like I said, the human stuff they just got to get a little bit better at. And
I agree.
I agree with everything you said about Marvel. I think also, them losing Chris Evans and Downey, and then Chadwick Boseman dying, and Captain Marvel not being a hit, I think they kind of lost their center point. Cap and Tony were the center points. And I think if Toho, what I'd like to see happen is I didn't really care for Shin. Like, I like it. I don't love it. I love -1. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Phenomenal movie. Like, when they won the Oscar, my wife tried to film me. I like screamed and got teary-eyed. Like, I wore my -1 shirt the next day. Like, I was like watching the Yankees win a World Series. It was just unbelievable. Mm-hmm. I want to see, that's a Godzilla that's made to fight. He's made to like throw down, and I want to see that angry god, because I'm more into the serious stuff, like the OG Godzilla, Multiverse Godzilla, Terra Mecha Godzilla, Biollante, 85. Like, I like a lot more the vengeful god sort of Godzilla, and -1 hit all those notes for me. Plus, just the way he looks is like one of my favorites.
Oh, I know.
I think Yamazaki can continue that. He's a little worried about making it, like, how do you have two monsters fighting and compelling human drama? I think you can do it. James Cameron did it in how many movies? Spielberg has done it. So I think it's possible, as long as they maintain that and as long as there's a clear vision, right? Like you said, Joe, that like Marvel, they had like a vision that was all leading to something. Like, if they do like the next movie, like -2, and it takes place in the 50s, and then it goes to the 60s, and then it takes us to like, 2025 by the end, and there's like aliens and shit, I don't know. Like he's got a great starting point now where they haven't had this before.
Yes.
So that's what I'd like to see. And I think, I want to see more MonsterVerse because it's only good for all of us. And I want to see more stuff from Toho. I think there's no reason why they both can't coexist.
I agree with you 1,000% though with the humans. They are by far the most negative aspect of the MonsterVerse films. I think I did like Bryan Cranston and Aaron Taylor Johnson in 2014. I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, but Bryan Cranston actually did an interview a couple of years after 2014 came out, and he even admitted that he tried to tell Gareth Edwards and the team on 2014, killing me is a narrative mistake. You guys should really try to keep me alive. And they were like, oh no, it's already written or whatever, which it's like, just don't zip up the body bag and bring him back, because I think that was what made 2014 I always say -1 is the movie that we thought we were getting in 2014.
Yes 100,000%.
And I'm just going to go quick because I know that we're running out of time, but I've said this for years and I will argue it until I'm blue in the face. 2014 was the movie to beat that year. There was nothing that had more hype, more press, more word of mouth with those trailers that, with the Oppenheimer quote, I've become death, the destroyer of worlds. I had neighbors and friends who are not fans of any of this stuff coming up to me and being like, Joe, I think this stuff is stupid, but damn, that Godzilla movie looks great.
Right.
They went and saw it and they're like, he's the hero? They're like, where's the destruction? Where's the death? Where's this, where's this natural force that we weren't expecting? And I think that they did make a narrative mistake with that film, because they definitely marketed it a different way than what it was. And I think it hurt them. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. You know what I found out recently? One of my coworkers, the scene where Bryan Cranston dies in a helicopter, do you know they shot that in New York? In Brooklyn?
Oh, really?
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, they had to do reshoots, so they brought the helicopter over, and it was the scene where he died. I guess he was in New York doing something, maybe Broadway or something. And what happens in Hollywood is when they have to do reshoots wherever the actor is. Sometimes like they'll come to New York, they'll go to like Hawaii, wherever they are. And they shot that scene in a soundstage in Brooklyn. There was a few other little scenes too. That was one of them. Is that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah,
it's super crazy.
Yeah, I would have guessed.
Well, like Joe was saying, we don't want to keep any more of your time. Thank you, John, for being on here and talking with us. It's been a real honor and a pleasure. Is there anywhere or anything else? We've talked a lot about your stuff on here. Is there anything you want to plug or let people know about that you want to share with us?
I showed my Zeton shirt, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I have that coming out. I have the Ultraman Rising stuff coming out. Kaiju Brooklyn 2, May 31st and June 1st. And go to kaijubrooklyn.com to pick up tickets. And you also go to my website to get a shirt, robo7.com. It's ROBO7.com. And as far as what's coming down the pike after that, like I said, I signed an NDA, so I can't talk about it, but you will see it. And it is, it's in line with what I currently do. So that's all I'll say about that.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, I cannot wait to hear and see what that is. Because like I said, you do great work, and I'm a true fan of yours. I mean, obviously, I buy your merchandise and stuff like that, and it's really great to see. I mean, it was good to see you and meet you at G Fest for the first time. So hopefully we can meet again in person sometime in the near future and just talk and everything. And
my dream is to get Kaiju Brooklyn big enough that people start flying in. I know it sucks coming to New York, but hey, we got 2 local airports, so that's bring all my friends to me.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness gracious!
But that's my goal. That's my goal, guys, is to get it big enough that people want to fly out to New York, be a part of the show.
I mean, honestly, you're on your way. Honestly, I mean, what you're doing so far. I mean, obviously, word of mouth is spreading. People are wanting. I mean, they're calling you to get you to come to their hometowns. I mean, obviously, you are doing something correctly. So I would just say keep it up, because people are loving what you're doing. So
thank you for the kind words. You're really way too kind to me today, but I appreciate it.
We expect a check in the mail.
Yeah. By check, you mean shirts? You got it. Send me your side.
I'll take it. All
right.
Joe, you got anything else left?
No, just John, thank you. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Everything that Eric said to the 10th degree. Huge fan of your work, like so many others. Appreciate your time, and thank you again.
Thank you so much. Just let me know when the show goes live, and I'll start sharing it all over. Oh, it is live. Oh, wait, I guess
it is live.
Oh, yeah.
I meant when it gets right, I could share this, right? As soon as we're done.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yep. Cool. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, thank you.
We would appreciate it. So,
sure, no problem.
But yeah, I think that's it for thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, the live people and the people who watch this afterwards. That's John Bellotti. Check him out at robo7.com. Check out his officially licensed Subaraya merchandise, and obviously buy his prints. They are amazing. Obviously, we showed some stuff here. So yeah, check out his work. He's on socials, on Instagram. Like he's got his own, like I said, website, stuff like that. So yeah, you can find him everywhere. We'll be talking about him, obviously, and hopefully, we'll have him on again in the future. Talk some more kaiju stuff. Maybe we'll just do an Ultraman show, because it seems like you were just all Ultraman, and I'm okay with that, because we can definitely go down that road of Ultraman goodness.
I'm down. Whenever you want to do an Ultra show, I'm so down.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for watching, and everybody. Of course, before we leave out of here, Joe, what do we always say?
Go right into it.
Wow.
Isn't that what we say? Isn't that a famous quote from a Godzilla film? No, we say embrace the attitude.
Embrace the attitude. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.